I am building the world record hexagonal domino structure. What's up, Domino community? I wanted to go through my entire thought process on the design and why I'm building this and the process of how it's actually coming together, because I've been working on this for over 6 weeks now, and it is time to make a full video about the details of this insane structure. So let's go back to the beginning. Now, I wanted to make a structure that was really large. That was my only criteria because I needed sort of a break with building, in the sense that I wanted to make something that was kind of mindless, something that I didn't really need to think too much about. I could just spend time, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, or whatever it might be, building dominoes, just placing what I need to, where it goes. There's not a lot of brain power that goes into, I guess, setting up a structure where where every domino should be placed. So this was kind of a nice project to do in between making other projects, and make something that was the largest ever of a certain kind of structure and make it impactful. If I'm gonna make a large structure, I was like, you know what, might as well go for a world record. So here we are. I actually have never made a hexagonal domino structure like this before, so this is my very first time, and I'll admit it took me at least 2 to 3 hours to figure out how to make the base of this structure. I've been building dominoes for 12 years, but I can honestly say this was the most complicated structural domino thing that I've ever built, and that is because it does not follow the traditional pattern when making domino structures. Now, due to the hexagonal nature of how this is built, it uses pillars that have 3 dominoes to make a triangle, and then the next layer connects those 3 to make 6 sides. So that's where you get the hexagon from. But in order to connect the hexagons to the hexagons next to it, you have to sort of go off of a pattern. And I noticed that rather than having a window gap of 3 dominoes like the standard cube technique, there was actually a 5 domino window gap on the border, but on the inside, every layer had a gap of just 2 dominoes. Now, this was completely perplexing to me because the orientation of the border on the outside of the structure had to be different than how the triangle dominoes were oriented in the middle of the structure, if that makes sense. And it took me so long to figure out that the border has to be rotated in order to actually connect the dominoes on the side. Very odd. I have never seen anything like this before, but it was quite an interesting realization, and I'm excited to be exploring new types of domino structures. So once I got the base down, I was really excited to start building it up. I actually made this plan on Photoshop really quickly with a general color scheme. The idea was to make it seem as appealing and as visually captivating as possible. So I wanted to make some sort of gradation, and I love fire colors. So of course I did the yellow to orange to red dominoes, and I thought it'd be cool to put white and black in the middle because I don't know why, but the white and black kind of reminds me of an eye, so it's like this structure is sort of looking at you. And then on the sides we have colors that sort of contrast with the fire colors. So we have a blue side, a green side, and a pink/purple side. And I wanted to keep the theme of concentric hexagons, but instead on the sides they're actually squares. So we have concentric squares with the lighter color in the middle of the square with white, and then we have a medium color and then a dark shade of that color on the outside that make up the square. And to top it off, we have black dominoes that sort of outline every face of the hexagonal structure. Now, I had to draw this out on my whiteboard to sort of visualize what this would look like. So it's basically a hexagon, but you extrude the sides, so it's just like a tall hexagon to make it 3D. I really would have loved to make this a full hexagonal structure, in the sense that it's, what would it be called? A hexahedron or something? I don't know if that was actually the right word, but that's not possible because it needs to sit on a flat base in order to stand, because gravity is a thing. But I think this is still a cool shape, and it's an interesting shape. Now, this structure is inspired by Wdomino's hexagonal domino structure video, and I paused his video so many times trying to figure out the base and how to make it and decide how big I wanted to make it. So essentially, the base is the same size as Wdomino's, except I'm planning to make mine much taller. Now, in terms of size, I wanted the hexagonal structure to be tall enough that the 6 faces would be actually square instead of rectangular. So I had to sort of measure out how wide this base is and then see how many layers that would be in terms of height. And that turned out to be 34 layers tall. So knowing that, plus the fact that there are 127 triangular pillars, times that by 3, you get 381 dominoes per row, times 34 rows, you get about 13,000 dominoes. This is by far the largest domino structure I have ever made, and yeah, it's taken a lot to get to this point. I think now I've reached the level in my building career where the size of the structure doesn't really faze me. It's like a 5,000 domino structure versus an 8,000 domino structure versus a 10,000 domino structure. Like, it's sort of kind of becomes one and the same after a while. Like, there's always going to be a pressure that you'll knock it down by accident, but it's still the same motions. And, you know, I think the size and like what you're going for in terms of goal doesn't really matter. And I try to think about it like that, otherwise I'm just gonna get freaked out that this structure is so large and then I will fail. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process when I'm actually building it. But I will say hexagonal structures are more difficult than typical cube structures, at least for me personally, because you can't really see when the dominoes are out of place, in the sense that because it makes a triangle, and there's 3 dominoes per pillar, I guess, it's hard to see when dominoes are out of place because there's no parallel dominoes, it doesn't make a square, like you can't look at the side of it and see if it's exactly on the right spot. The only way that I guess you'd be able to tell if it's out of place is if you look at it directly above, but it's hard to do that when you're kind of like on the side and it gets too big. It's just like the angles don't really work to look at it from above. At this point, I think I just gotta keep on building and really focus hard and concentrate and make sure that no domino is going to be exactly on the edge, because if I do knock down one, I am going to be very sad. But I do have a couple of cameras recording me in real time just in case I do knock it down. So if that happens, I'll get it on tape, hopefully. It's been up for 6 weeks now and I can handle one more week of building, right? But anyways, that is my progress so far. I hope to finish in the next week and it'll hopefully be my next video on Hevish 5. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2022. And thank you so much for being a part of the Domino community. I also quickly want to announce that our new 60-piece H5 Domino Creations packs are now on Amazon. They'll be coming out in January, so stay tuned. I'm so excited for you all to see these new colors and make even bigger projects with them. I also want to give a shout out to our featured community member, Domino Star, who left this comment on my last video. Good luck with the 5-second Domino challenge, and I am very much looking forward to seeing your entry. As always, I'm Lily Hevish, and keep on building.